Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And yes, we have another amazing guest. He is my co-host today, Ryan Halpert. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day today, and we've got a lot going on, a lot to cover for people here. We've got some training and we've got some announcements and reminders for everybody. We'll start out with a couple of the announcements, and then we'll get into some of the training. So as you guys know, AI, excuse me, AI Business Builder Challenge is live. That is over on AIBusinessBuilderChallenge.com. This has been going crazy, and the feedback has been phenomenal. We are in our, I think, second full week of this being fully live, and we launched it as promised on June 5th, just as we said that we would. And right during Wake Up Legendary, it went live, and it was now available. Many of you have been going through it. Some of you have not. You can go to AIBusinessBuilderChallenge.com and enroll. It's a $17 course. It's got 5 full episodes, 2 half episodes, secret bonus episodes embedded in there. Keeping it fun, keeping it exciting, and teaching you about AI and then how to blend that with online marketing and how to have it help you get clarity on a lot of the things that you need to get clarity on before you get started, and help you to then be able to create content and be able to use it on a daily basis in your business. And it's not that it's going to come in and build your business for you. It's not that. It's not a robot. We're going to show you what AI is and how to use it. And also, what are some of the things that make the difference when using these tools, and how can you have it actually help you, pick things and get clarity on things like what niche you're going to go into, what products you're going to promote, what value, what expertise, what experience you have that you didn't even realize that you had. I mean, a lot of times we're sitting here creating content or trying to promote products and topics that we don't know anything about, aren't really passionate about, when we have internal gold that's sitting there, experience, wisdom, passion around certain topics. So the process will help you to extract that and get clarity on that. Go to AIBusinessBuilderChallenge.com. Again, it's going crazy, and people are enrolling, and the feedback's been phenomenal. That's no hyperbole. There's been no comments, feedback, support tickets, anything of any feelings of underwhelm, or that there's only been overwhelming positive feedback in life-changing transformations. And of course, on day 5, which we have this first workshop live coming up here on the 27th here in just a couple of days on Friday, we have our first live AI Decade in a Day. And that's a workshop in the master course that we offer on day 5 of the AI Challenge, along with some other bonuses that you can take advantage of if you want to enroll and get that new challenge or new client discount. And that AI Decade in a Day workshop is going to be a brand new, one-of-a-kind experience where we take people through and take you deeper down the rabbit hole of AI and what it can do for you in your business. And it's going to be an all-day experience. And so you can learn all about that as you go through the challenge. The first thing is just to go through it and not just buy it. Don't just put it on your to-do list. Really set aside. The challenge is 114 minutes of content, something like that, Ryan?
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's reasonable for you to get through. All of the training, all of the things that we're doing here at Legendary are more geared towards getting you the information fast, more conveniently. That's why we're taking a lot of our training, the main course of our training, of our flagship program. which has been our blueprints. We're still including those inside of our flagship program. However, the 1 day, decade in a day workshop, that AI focused decade in a day workshop, where we show you essentially the how to set everything up, not just you understand the what we're doing here, but the how to set it all up and to get it working for you on a daily basis in your business. That's what we're going to be doing in the AI decade in a day. These pieces are all set up to get you this information fast. We decided, and we are continuing to do Wake Up Legendary. Look, this show's been going for over 4 years, since March of 2020, right when the pandemic hit. That was a big decision to either like fold up or get scared or go live every day and start interviewing clients and giving people confidence that, hey, now is the time, or at least reminding them now would be a good time to focus on building your skills and potentially building an online income. And so these things are happening. They're all available. The new challenge, that's where you should start, is AIBusinessBuilderChallenge.com. We've also got an event that's coming up in Nashville. And so that's going to be something we're invading that city September 5th, 6th, and 7th. And so you can go to legendarymarketermastermind.com/Nashville. Tickets will not be available. There will come a time to where we sell out of this event. Tickets are they're slowly going. We're not doing any hardcore promotions right now, like, doing anything to get people off their butts. But I'm telling you, lock in a ticket and meet us there. Make a plan, make a decision to do it. Just make it a decision to be intentional about it. It'll be well worth the investment. It's not a cost. Trust me, it's a bargain. It'll be a life-changing experience for you to get out of your home environment and come and get in a room with a bunch of badass entrepreneurs who are doing the same thing that you're doing. Trust me, it'll be life-changing. Trust me, it'll impact you in way more than a couple of $1,000. I'm telling you. I mean, I got no compunction. I got no pause about this. I mean, these are $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 tickets. And they are being sold for less of an experience in other guru gauntlets around the internet township. Here, we are putting in front of you actual students who have gone through the education that you're going through, who have then been successful with the skills, who are doing the same exact thing you're doing. Not 15 different entrepreneurs let me tell you something. Look, you need the same principles in every business you do, no doubt. You need grit, you need hard work, you need common sense, all the things. But industry is different, Ryan. Businesses are different. What you know about heavy equipment mechanic does nothing for me here. Does nothing for you here.
Doesn't do nothing for me neither.
I mean, me formerly being in construction or a roofer, it's completely different. So when you go to these business seminars and you sit in a room, or God bless them, Tony Robbins or anybody else, and you sit in a room, you got a lot of people from a lot of different, everybody's doing something different. Everybody's on a different path. Everybody's all in a totally different direction. There absolutely can be value in that diversity and in that diversity of both industry and people. Sure. Not when you're trying to launch a damn business that has nuances, where context matters. You know this. You're not dumb people. So in Nashville, we're not going to be talking about all of the generic motivational principles, the generic marketing principles, and the generic sales principles. You got to follow up with somebody in 7 exposures. I mean, guys, So there's power both in proximity and specificity. The context, the nuance of what you're doing, having somebody who really gets it, who understands it, so you can begin to build your system of support, which ultimately is a mentor, an advisor, and a peer. You know, that's at the very least. And those don't always have to be in the same. Your mentor could be somebody who you learned from virtually, far away. Your advisor's more hands-on, could be somebody who's a coach. Your peers are the people who you're going to meet. Those are the people that you need inside of your life and your business, and not to mention what you'll learn. And so all of this is going on. Not last but not least, some of you who are our affiliates, our brand ambassadors, the people who represent our products and market our products out in the marketplace, were a part of our Project 100X group that we did, where we were essentially in our affiliate group challenging people to do 100 pieces of content a month and do it for 100 days. Well, we're coming up on that 100-day mark. It's going to be July. Kim Ballum had just made a post. It's coming up, though. It's July
3rd, I think.
July 3rd. Okay. So, man, I just want to give you guys a shout out who are, staying consistent and being consistent and are looking to run through that finish line. Not first, not worried about what place you're in, but just finish. And if you've ever done anything or had a friend or a family member that ran like a 5K or a 10K or a marathon or something, that the pride and the accomplishment, the confidence boost, the experience that you get from crossing that finish line. It's powerful, following through and finishing something. So I would encourage, if you've not followed through, to figure out a way to finish and follow through and get back plugged into it. Because sometimes we get really plugged into groups and then we kind of disappear. Not much as maybe we, again, a 90-day challenge. That's a long challenge, man, Ryan. I mean, we've had challenges where it's like, okay, do we want to go 7 or is 14 days too long? I mean, is 7 days too long for people to stay plugged in? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Oh,
seriously, yeah. That's a question that we've asked ourselves. So for us to go 90 days with this challenge, I mean, that was a big, long challenge. But I just want to acknowledge we're going to have Kim on this week. We're going to also have some marketers from that particular group and that challenge on Wake Up Legendary as well. We're reaching out to people and going to be having some of those people on to talk about the experience. And of course, now if you are an affiliate, you are an ambassador of ours, and you want to carry our products out into the marketplace and use our systems, and then obviously we've got something brand new for you, which is this AI challenge. And of course, we appreciate all the support. And quite frankly, I talked to somebody the other day. I actually a former client. She sent me a message, Ryan, and she said, I forget where she sent it on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But she said basically, hey, I just want to let you know that, the training changed my life. I'm now, okay, I took your course and just wanted to share a win. I created an IG page, and I've grown it to over 400,000 people in just 7 months, averaging 5K new followers a day. Thankful for taking your course. Keep crushing it. So this was a message that I just got the other day from a Dana. And I said, amazing work. I love that for you. I see you're also promoting Make Money Online courses you've made. Are you open to testing some new offers, specifically our AI challenge, to see how it promotes through your story, where you started, could add 10 or 20,000 a month to your income. So I share that because, obviously doing affiliate marketing is, in my opinion, it's really about not just going through the motions, but actually creating a story, telling a story, giving people a reason more than just reading the ingredients on the box, more than giving them something more than what they could just get on their own, giving them an additional bonus, giving them an additional personal story. And so, one little tip that I have for you affiliates today, and anybody who's doing affiliate marketing, whether you're promoting our stuff or not, which again is never a requirement, but it's to create a success story from that product. Have one win. If I'm going to go and I'm going to promote Ryan tomorrow, I'm going to look for something new to promote, or I'm going to say, what can I promote? The first thing I need to do is I need to look at the things that I've actually had transformations from. And if I don't have a transformation story, then maybe I need to create one.
Without
or maybe
a doubt.
I need to look around at what I've done and accomplished or what I've learned and see if there's anything that I can talk about. Ryan, wouldn't you agree that that's one of the most important things about affiliate marketing, is having that sort of personal, and this ties in quite nicely to our topic today. So maybe you could elaborate and tie into why having a personal transformation story and sharing that would be more powerful than, for example, some of the other things that we choose to share in our content.
Without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, you could even looking at a very, very dumbed down and simplified example of what you're talking about, which could be like a product review, right? Usually you do that. You're talking about your experience with the product. You're talking about a transformation, right? It could be anything. It could be these earbuds right here. It could be me talking about how much I love these and how much better my music listening experience has gotten since I started using these, right? And that's a personal transformation story. And I think that what I'm seeing from a lot of affiliates, especially our affiliates, but a lot of affiliates in this space, is that a lot of we're stuck on the struggle, but we're not talking about the transformation. We're not talking about the story, right? Now, for me personally, right? We've talked about on this show before, right? I was in the hospital and I had all this stuff going on, and I actually went into the hospital as a mechanic. I came out as a marketer, essentially, in the sense where I never went back to mechanic work beyond just tying up loose ends from when I went into the hospital. And then when I came out and continued to recover, which was like a solid 6 weeks, that whole ordeal front to back, right through Christmas and New Year's. I come out of that and I tied up loose ends with my mechanic business, but I never went back to it. Right. And that was the time when I really realized that, okay, wow, this business that I was treating like a side hustle before, that I worked really aggressively on and wasn't confident enough in prior to going in, I got to actually see it carry me through that whole ordeal while the other business died at the same time. And so that was it was almost like a forced transformation that took place, in a sense where it's like, okay, I've got quite a bit of faith in this now. And I also kind of am left with not that much of a choice. So I have to make it work. And so that's my transformation story, right? And that's what I like to talk about. And the kicker here is that if I didn't learn how to do all the things I was doing prior to getting sick, that wouldn't have been the case. I would have just had a business that died because, oh my God, the guy stepped away for 6 weeks, which is like unbelievable. Some of you step away for 6 weeks multiple times a year just because you don't feel like doing this shit. And, you just come back to it. And so, in that business, I had heavy equipment. You can't do that, right? people I had, my customers, they still needed their stuff fixed. They still needed somebody to show up. I didn't have any employees. I had no backup. It was just me. I had my grandfather who was able to take a phone call for me and relay, hey, he's dying in the hospital right now, so he'll get back to you in a couple of weeks. Hopefully that was it. That was all I had. And so that business, I was basically starting over, right? You want to talk about starting over. You want to talk about, life got in the way and I had to start over. I got to rebuild my funnel, right? Which is what you guys talk about. Imagine having to rebuild an entire mechanic business where here I am with this expensive truck and these insurance costs and all these other things that I'm paying monthly on. And, QuickBooks and just it never ends. It's a ridiculous amount of expenses. It's stupid and absurd. And then having all of a sudden, now I've got no customers and I've got people who need to actually trust me to pay my rate to fix their equipment that keeps their business operating. Ridiculous, crazy, hard to do. So, right. It was, if I didn't have this particular business to go into, to transition into, to transform into, then I would have been in a pretty bad spot because I got sick, right? Because I got sick, not because I got lazy, not because I, made a bad investment, not because I did something I was in control of, because I got friggin' sick and ridiculous. And not to mention the hospital bill I came out of there with. Imagine that, right? And so my point is that the transformation that took place there really has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with, I got this Lamborghini now. It has nothing to do with Rolex watches or any of the flashy stuff. What it has to do with is the fact that I started doing something because I absolutely hated the work that I was relying on to have a career and make a living. And this major event took place. And I was lucky enough in a very short amount of time that I put enough work in and I got really, really good at what I was doing because I learned from a really good place. And I was able to take those skills, turn them into a real business that carried me financially through that hardship. And now I'm doing that thing full time. And I'm not looking back because if I get sick again, I can rely on this again. Right. So it's not that's my transformation story, right? And then it just evolves from there. It keeps going on. Honestly, there's no other part of it that's that interesting because this is actually a pretty boring business. You just kind of do what you do, and you sell products and you promote products and you market stuff and make reviews and whatever you want to do and send emails, right? None of that's all that interesting. That doesn't get anybody excited, but it works. It's boring, but it works really, really well. And so that's my transformation story, but it doesn't even have to be, and that might sound like a really big deal, right? I get that. It might sound like, man, well, I didn't have any kind of major life event that I went through, but you don't have to have that. All you have to have is an experience with that product. The same way, and I'm going to say this, right? We'll call a spade here. Same way users are so quick to drop that negative feedback. Come back and where's the positive feedback in the stuff that you're promoting? What's the positive experience? What's the transformation that happened? What's the thing that was life-changing to a small or a large degree, right? I could talk about, I'll use these as an example again, right? I could talk about these in a million different ways. I could talk about how good the sound quality is. I could talk about all that stuff. Really what these did for me was this made it easier to do annoying, boring, everyday stuff I don't like to do, right? Sitting at this desk for hours on end, popping these in is way better than having to try to listen to music or listen to a podcast or a YouTube video or whatever I want to do on high volume. And you still got all the other room noise kind of interrupting that, right? I can put these in and it's a signal to my brain that it's time to lock in. And we're going to lock in and we're going to do what we got to do. I use them when I mow the grass. I use them when I work at my desk. I use them when I sit on the couch at night and my wife's in the room right next to me sleeping and I've got the television on. It could be a million different things, but these have been transformational to me in a lot of different ways. And by the way, for anybody who's curious, these are wireless earbuds and they're Anchor, and I would strongly recommend them. If anybody wants them, you can get them on Amazon. But anyways, So that's the positive experience. I don't have anything bad to say about that product. That's the transformation. I could talk about features and benefits, but that's already on the listing. Nobody cares about that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to get my audience to purchase this by talking about how, man, I have been so distraction free and so productive and getting so much more work done since I started just using these simple headphones while I'm working. I used to sit in silence. My brain would wander. I'd start thinking about weird stuff. Next thing you know, I'm doom scrolling on TikTok, and I don't even remember how the hell I got there. But once I started using these and I started listening to a podcast or music while I was working, all of a sudden that problem went away. It made it a lot easier for me to focus and lock in on the work I needed to get done. So I was getting way more done in much less time. Strongly recommend picking up a set of these if you're somebody that's trying to work from home, right? How many of you are running out to go buy earbuds right now? How many?
Well, I'm sad you don't have an affiliate link.
Oh, I do. I could get one in that chat right quick, but I'm not going to do that. That's okay. The commissions on the Anchor earbuds aren't going to change my life. But
well, hey, I think for that pitch, he deserves a couple of commissions. Drop the link. Drop the man. Shoot, Rhonda says she'd like to buy 2 sets, Ryan. I mean, but you know what? The point is that in that pitch, you just pitched your own personal. Let's not miss the message. Let's not miss what we're doing here. What we're pointing out to you guys is that every video that you do, every piece of content that you create doesn't have to have your down by the river struggle story in it. You can just teach or deliver value, or just here's what I got, here's what it'll do for you, here's what I want you to do next, right? And with here's what I got is the story. Here's what it'll do for you is if you've ever experienced any of these things yourself, this will solve those too, right? Just like Ryan just did with those earbuds. There was no down by the river back when I don't even think you talked about what it, you didn't harp too much on.
Talked about the problem I had. I was distracted. I was doom scrolling.
Right. And that's being specific about the problems that your customers are facing are important. I gotta really ask myself, and this is where the simple rule, never tell a story without making a point, never make a point without telling a story, really comes into play. Because if I'm telling stories in my content that I'm not very clear about what their point is, what am I telling them for? I get addicted to talking about that down by the river, kind of my constantly talking about struggles, constantly talking about my struggles. And really, I think we have to be careful not to be negative. You got to be careful and guard your own mind, eyes, and ears from things that you're seeing and hearing on the internet and in real life to ensure that you aren't also sending icky vibes in through your content that people are picking up on. Passive aggressive vibes, bitter vibes, like that you're like in some way not being authentic, right? So that is what is more important than anything. And if you think that energy and vibrations are not sent and felt through video, you're crazy. That means that you're telling me that you've never cried during a movie. That means that you're telling me that you've not ever laughed during a stand-up comedy special. No. As a matter of fact, I believe human beings, fellas and ladies, you're telling me that you've not received any other pleasure, any other time from watching any other types of videos?
Great example. Good, solid.
Thank you. I don't even know if that really qualifies though, because does that qualify as a feeling? I don't know.
Oh, there's feelings involved. I mean, hey.
So my point here is that I got to really make sure that like I'm keeping my content focused on what's in it for them. That's the bottom line.
For sure.
And so often, whether it's we get into all these different types of topics and stuff that we want to talk about, and I do it too. The bottom line is, what is in it for them? Why should they watch? Why should they care? What effort did I put in to make this valuable and make them pay attention to this? And can I deliver it fast, Ryan? I think getting to the point faster, being more conscious of those first 3 to 5 seconds, or even the first flash of your video, the first frame, and putting more focus on that. I think you guys need to, and I'm telling you, this is going to be the focus moving forward. That first frame on Instagram and that first couple of seconds on YouTube, that's what needs to be your focus. And way too many of you are not only talking about your struggles and things that just people don't need. Look, don't talk about your problems really or your struggles ever, because 90% of people don't give a shit and 10% of people are happy that you got the problems. So don't talk about your problems. I know this is going, there's a difference between talking about your problems and sharing vulnerably. Sharing vulnerably is usually, and only especially if it's attached to a solution, or if it's presented in a way to allow somebody to identify or to relate, which is usually why I'm ever going to use it in my marketing. I'm going to say, yo, I had that problem. This is what it was like for me. Here's what it was like. Here's what happened. Here's what it's like now. And here's what I have. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what I want you to do now. In being precise about getting into what's in it for them. Every word, everything you do has to be about them. And you need to get so obsessed about thinking about how other people are feeling instead of thinking about how you're feeling about your content or about your business. Get outside of yourself. The best piece of advice, one of the best about who I need to be and where I need to keep my attention is, if you get in your head, you're dead. And more times than not, we get in our head about our content, our strategy, our business, our topics, and we're dead. You need to stay outside of your head and constantly focused on what is in it for them. Why should they be listening? Am I framing this? I was watching this YouTube video the other day, and it was this guy that instead of and he was kind of he's almost like this amateur investigative journalist who goes to these different cities and these different people, and he kind of just films to go behind the scenes. And he definitely has an opinion, but the way that he frames it to the viewer is, do you think I'm right in being skeptical? Do you think I should be on high guard, or do you think these people are trustworthy and they are who they say they are? Say he's gone into a city and is hanging out with a gang, which he'll sometimes do. He won't try to persuade the audience. He will instead present the information in a way that allows the audience to be a part of the decision and feel like they have an opinion, and that he's not trying to be biased either way, that he's just presenting the facts. Now, what does that have to do with what I'm talking about? Well, he's thought through what is an enjoyable experience for a viewer. Is it to be talked at and tried to be convinced about a topic, or is it to allow the audience to feel like they're being presented with both sides, Ryan, so they can make a decision?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know exactly the type of video and show that you're kind of talking about, and it's a very different experience than just trying to be persuaded to make a yes decision or right? Or if I make a no decision, I feel kind of bad or I feel unwelcomed. It's sort of just like, I don't care what you do, I don't care what decision you make, but if you're here, I'm going to give you this information, and then you can decide, and what you do is up to you, regardless of what that outcome is. It's kind of like it's a very interesting. It's very interesting that you bring it up. It's kind of like, like going back to the down by the river stuff. It feels to me, a lot of that feels exactly the same as when you're really bragging at a high level, right? If you're doing the opposite, you're not talking about your problems, but instead you're talking about how great and phenomenal everything is, and my life is perfect, and just kind of it being so in your face about all of it. That to me has the same type of feelings associated with it as if you're just down by the river, down bad, struggling all the time, right? And it's just everything's all bad and everything's all negative and everything's just it's just a woe is me sort of a whiny type of situation or feeling, right? You just don't want to be there. You don't want to be in that room. You want to walk away. You want to get out of there. You want to get away. So it's interesting to be able to take such a neutral approach as well and show how that can also work, right? And that's a very engaging, just a very engaging thing. And it's like I want to play along for sure. I want to hang out, and I want to see it to the end, and I want to make a decision, right? And I think that's as I'm processing this more, as I'm talking about it, I think that's kind of the exciting bit of that, is I want to make a decision now. Is I want to be presented all the information, and I want to make the decision, regardless of what it may be, as the viewer. Yeah. So that's kind of the fun and engaging part of that, I think, is that it's neutral, right? I'm not being, given a sob story. I'm not being bragged and boasted to and talked about, here's all the things you're missing out on, right? That I have, or anything like that. It's just a neutral, like, okay, this is cool, kind of fun. I'm thinking, I'm engaged, and now I get to make a decision. Yeah. And that's, I think, the exciting part of what you just described, at least. And that's maybe my opinion, but that's
and it's a more playful way to create content and engage with your audience.
Yeah.
The last thing that your audience wants really is to just be talked at all the time. They want to be, I think, just to drive home and recap the point that we're making here, is that if you also, and one final point I think to make, if you're also only always talking to people from a are you struggling standpoint, you're going to attract people who struggle. And this people who are always struggling are it's not you want to attract people who are also who are not just addicted to struggling. You want to because people buy based on different emotions. If somebody's addicted to struggling and they're buying likely based on fear or some sort of missing out. If somebody's buying based on they feel like you get them and you can help them solve their problem, that's a motivated person that's ready to take responsibility and is likely going to follow through and get results with what you're selling, which is going to make them a repeat buyer and somebody who's likely to turn into a raving fan and want to share your products or your experience with other people. So keep that in mind. The message that you share out, it can't always just be, are you struggling? Mix it with some positive transformation messaging and, be careful not to surround yourself with a bunch of clients that are always struggling and won't do anything. Okay. So that's thing number kind of one. And that's what we've really been talking about. And that's one of the things that, we've noticed and that we want to kind of remind you guys on a regular basis that, giving people the facts without giving people, creating some videos where it's all killer, no filler are also powerful. just getting right to the point. Here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what I want you to do now. It doesn't always have to be a story with a big struggle. Okay. We want to mix in these types of content to ensure that we're testing and chumming the waters with various different kinds of chum. To play into this kind of playfulness content, this intriguing content, how do people feel when they watch your content? Is it kind of like, well, here's, the struggle bus group again, or here, right? Or is it more the inquisitive, the curious, also what kind of content is most engaging? We've already said the types of content where maybe the presenter is less biased towards one side and instead tries to deliver the facts for you on both sides for you to make a decision. Another thing that I noticed, Ryan, and I don't know if my algorithms were just feeding me this, but there were people that I noticed with pages with hundreds of thousands of followers and madly engaged people. And the types of videos that these people were creating, these creators, where they were literally just holding up their phone and they were basically saying into them, do you guys feel something about to happen? Something's weird in the universe. Something's weird right now, right? And they were basically it was a video that was speaking to all the conspiracy theorists and all of kind of like the people who, just have a gut feeling or an intuition that something's off. And I guarantee you I could get people doing this right now, like on this show. Like if I was like, do you guys sense something off? Like comment the number 7 if you feel like something's just been just weird lately. Just kind of like something's just weird in the air. Like I don't know what it's been, but it's just been something feels off. Does anybody else feel like that? Like these were literally what the videos were, Ryan.
Yeah.
And I guarantee I'm getting K right there drops a 7. And I'm talking about the thing, but Deborah drops a 7. Do you see what I mean? How this shit works? Guys, I'm explaining the strategy and you're dropping 7s. You look, 7s, Ryan, Kim, 7. What? You guys are being brain. I'm saying it's so powerful. That right there, Ryan.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, those videos where people are just like, do you see where I'm not trying to convince you of anything?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, so guys, because then you sound crazy, right? Guys, Jesus is coming. Guys, don't you like the guy who's standing on the side of the corner? Like it's like literally in 2025, the worst way. It's like, oh my God, that person is mentally ill or whatever, right? You look crazy. But if a dude's on a live on Facebook and it is like this, Ryan. Hey, you guys, I don't know about any of you, but something is weird right now. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, they say there's a coming. They say that, one day Christ will return. They say that, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different verses. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I just know that there's something in the air. And it just feels kind of like we're coming to the end of time. Maybe that's just me. Is it just me? Right?
Yeah. I think there's an element too, which is, this might sound contradictory, but I think it's real. I think there's an element of confusion too that's very magnetic, where it's like, I'm so clueless and I have no idea what's going on right now, and I just want to know the answer. Where is all of this coming from, or what is this all based off of, or what's the feeling, or why do you? I think there's so much unanswered that I really want to know that it draws me in and it sucks me in and I can't look away, because I've watched shit like that, and it's like I'm trying to kind of just wait.
I'm telling you,
like, is there
bro,
an outcome? Is there an end? Is there a
bro? I'm telling you, dude. I'm having like a fucking. You guys are watching me have a realization right here. I'm doing it all wrong. We're all doing it all wrong. I guarantee you, dude. Okay, check this out. Content is better. This is fucking nuts, dude. I gotta get off this live stream right now. I'm literally having a braingasm right now. This is insane. But it's like, doesn't it seem like the content that does the best is the content that like leaves things open-ended at the end?
Yeah.
Whether that's like a movie or like a series, or even, I don't know, random videos and stuff, where it's just like gives you two opposite sides of the story that both could totally be true or whatever, and you're just like left like,
yeah,
what do you like? The movie ends and you're just like, what do you think? Like, I don't know, like all this shit. I just feel like human beings, sometimes we want to learn, but so often we just want to wonder and just not have anybody tell us what the answer is.
I mean, I think that keeps us very engaged, and I also think that we want to know the answer so bad that it will keep us there until we get it. And you've probably seen this too, where they'll have, sometimes it'll be like a TV show section, or it'll be a movie clip, or a lot of times they'll do it with podcasts where they're telling a story and all of a sudden it ends and then there's a part two, right? And with a marketing lens, you could tell they ended that in a very specific place, a very good cliffhanger. They ended it right there. And then you got to go to the profile. Hopefully there's a part two. And now what some of these friggin' accounts do is they don't even post the second part. They just take this middle section and they drop it in there. They get you sucked in, and then you can't find the rest of it. But I think they do that intentionally, so that way it gets us back to their profile. Because I gotta know how this ends. It could be some, like John Deloney. He's one of the Ramsey guys, and he's a doctor, and he does a lot of marriage and relationship. So he's like a marriage counselor, therapist, psychiatrist type of niche. And he has a podcast, a radio show that he does, takes callers in. So I'm watching these things, and it'll be some crazy story. This lady, she's like, is it immoral for me to divorce my husband because he's disabled and I can't take care of him anymore? And it's like now she's going through all these details, all this stuff, and then it just ends. They ended the video. I didn't get to see the rest of it. I don't know what the final advice was, right? But all I know is now I'm scrolling through John Deloney's friggin' YouTube channel trying to figure out what the hell episode that was in, until I eventually gave up. And by the way, it wasn't him that left that clip that way. It was somebody else reposting this stuff. But it sent me as traffic right directly to him, and it's just, man, I think it kind of brings me back to that confusion thing I mentioned a minute ago. Like I've been thinking about this a lot in ways that I could explain it clearly and articulate what I mean. But like confusion, I think, is such a powerful thing. It can be in content and even in marketing if used correctly. That confusion really draws people in and gets people, because now I'm confused about the story. I don't know what happened. Did you divorce the husband because he's disabled? What happened here? Right? I don't know the out, and that was a real video that I watched too. That was the video. I saw it yesterday and I couldn't find the answer to it. And but I wanted to know the answer so bad, to the point where I'm leaving the platform and looking through his YouTube videos, and it was just a quick scroll, but it was, if I found it, I would have sat there and watched it. And So it's man, it's so intriguing the way that
It
that
is.
works.
It is.
You
It
know, and it's a
is.
neutral thing. It's not. I'm not like picking a side yet. I'm just getting the details, like you were saying before. I'm getting the details. What side is Deloney going to be on? What side is the caller on? Obviously, the caller's considering the divorce. Is she justified in this, or is she not? Right. So that's
we love to get the details. We love to be in that contemplative, investigative state. I mean, I think we spend most of our lives in that state, you know? And I think that confusion content where you're posing questions, I think that's what our brains, that's what is engaging to our brains. What's not engaging to our brains is when we just have to listen to stuff, right? I mean, what you guys tell me, I mean, isn't that what we in school, what sucked about it?
like a college lecture,
Yeah.
like you're falling asleep. Yeah. I used to sleep in school all the time.
Me too. And I stopped going eventually. Like, I hate being talked at.
Yeah.
It's very hard. So, and a lot of that is just about how the person delivers the content, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it
Or
majorly.
communicates during the podcast or during the show, like we're talking about. Whether that's how we're doing right here, how I'm doing, where I'm, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, right? It's like you feel like you have to answer, but I'm really only doing it to demo it, right?
For sure.
That's, I mean, the other thing is the confusion point. Look at the most successful advertisements in history. Nobody should be able to. You tell me. The Progressive, the insurance commercials, the Geico commercials, are those some of the best commercials that have ever been created? In my opinion, they are.
They are. I agree. I watch them. I mean, there's commercials that you just, you're on your phone, and then there's some other ones like I'll look up at the screen and I'll watch it. And that's in that category, those ones you mentioned.
It's like, what did I just watch? Like, I think that if you look at human beings, a lot of times what we like to do, this is a huge revelation. Like right here, I'm growing in front of you guys. This is great. It's how I learn, is by talking things through and talking things out. You gotta figure out how you learn. This podcast that we've done here, I mean, I have learned more through doing this, through talking out my problems and talking things out just on a daily basis. But like I feel like human beings, we would rather attach our own meaning to shit. Like, think about song lyrics, how confusing they are. Think about song lyrics, okay? They're really, most of the greatest songs had lyrics that didn't really make sense. Like, if you actually tried to read the lyrics, it'd be like word soup. Like, what does this mean? Like go to any song and just try to read it like a book, and it's weird. That's an artist's secret. That's a songwriting secret, is kind of to write lyrics that aren't just obvious. Like writing, that's one of the differences between writing marketing sales copy and song lyrics. Sales copy must be ridiculously clear. Song lyrics, people are, I'm attaching whatever, I want to attach whatever meaning I want to this song. And that's one of the reasons why I think artists do that, is so people they're somewhat ambiguous with the song to where you can attach whatever meaning you want to that sentence or that line. Think about a piece of art. It's another staple in our civilization. But every piece of art, when you look at it, each person has their own interpretation. Same thing happens with movies. We have our own interpretation. What did you think? One person experienced something totally different. And all these movies and documentaries, many of which don't have answers at the end. There's no answers to life. There's no real answers to a lot of the big questions in life, including what the we're all doing here, like just floating on a rock in the middle of space, right? Are we in one of those snow globes? Are we in a God snow globe?
A simulation?
Right? And every once in a while, he picks it up and shakes it, and asteroids go flying around and wipe out civilizations. I don't know. I got my beliefs, just like you got your beliefs. And we like to wonder about that. That wonder of is where human beings like to be. And so, as I'm talking about this, what I'm thinking about is more content that doesn't always make sense, that leaves the viewer more wondering, questioning. The fuck was he talking about? What's my opinion on what he was talking about? Did he give me a chance to make a decision? Or did he do something and say something that really didn't make sense and I'm confused about what just happened? And now I'm keeping looking because I don't understand. And most of the time you do kind of watch shit and pay attention to things that you don't really understand or that confuse you a little bit, and you're enamored by them, right?
Like you're peeling back layers of an onion, you know? Like
Absolutely.
just one layer at a time getting peeled off, where it's not, all delivered so fast or all at once, or even in the same post, where it's we teach this as anticipation, but I think a way you could approach it is by being neutral, introducing some confusion to where it's like they just want to know the answer. And that's the best way. I say the best way. That's a great way to create FOMO, honestly, too, is to just be kind of ambiguous and vague and in a sense to where somebody feels like, wait a minute, what is, especially if it does get lots of engagement and there's lots of social proof on that post in the comments and a lot of people are responding, and then someone stumbles across that and they're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? There's also these posts too that I see that, somebody will do what we're talking about, and all of a sudden there's this term or this phrase, right? I remember one for me was, canon event. All of a sudden I stumbled across this post and they were talking about a canon event. And I'm like, what the hell is a freaking canon event? I don't even know what the heck that is. So now I'm on this research rabbit hole trying to figure out what a canon event was. I don't even remember what the hell it is. But anyways, I remember seeing the initial post though, and I remember seeing everybody talking about it, and it was like 50-50 in that comment section. It was half of them were saying, oh, this was a canon event. The other half were saying, what is a canon event? And nobody was able to really give the answer. I couldn't find it in the thread, so I had to go and research it on my own until I found some very nice gentleman who made a video explaining it. And it wasn't very important to me once I learned what it was, and I moved on. But either way, it sent me down this rabbit hole of figuring out, what this thing was that they were talking about. And I think vaguely what it has to do with is it has to do with a certain event that takes place that basically changes the way all the following events happened, if I remember correctly, but don't quote me on that. So it's like because this specific thing happened is why everything else went and happened. So like a movie could have a canon event or something like that. But anyways, but it's interesting, right? They introduce these things and they start using these terms that introduce confusion, right? Everything made sense, right? I'm following, I'm engaged, I'm listening to your story, I'm listening to what you're sharing with me, I'm taking in the information. But then you threw in that one detail that I just don't know what it means. I'm confused. I'm uncertain. I can't make a decision now because of that one little thing, right? That one little detail. And so but I don't want to miss out on something. I don't want to be the person who's unaware. I don't want to be the idiot who has no idea what everybody's talking about, but everybody else does. So I got to go figure out what that means or how that works or what they're talking about. And that for me is what this Canon event experience was like. But it's definitely feeling like, very advanced type of strategies. It's feeling like, okay, this takes some dialing in to really execute very well intentionally. But doing it in a way that, you have those little elements of confusion, I think could be extremely powerful and create that FOMO, which is fear of missing out, that is going to drive your audience, into a ManyChat automation or into a lead magnet or into a funnel or into something, into an offer, right? It could even be into a call with you. It could be lots of different things. You can drive that action because now there's so much interest just based around that one thing. And then you can get, more control of the situation, I think, beyond that. And but it ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all traffic, right? So, I mean, it's interesting.
Oh, sorry. Well, it is, and more to come on all of this stuff, because this is real marketing gold. We're giving away for free. It's almost a sin. So meet us back here tomorrow for another episode, my friends. We love you. Be legendary. Be great. Rewatch this one if you missed it. It's worth it. It's a good one. And get started with the AI Business Builder Challenge at aibusinessbuilderchallenge.com. And we'll see you on the inside. Have a great day. Peace. Peace in the Middle East. And peace right here, right? Wherever your feet are at. All right, my friends. All right, we'll see you back here tomorrow for another one. Get out of here. Bye-bye.